What is up, guys? This is B Brooks here from Brick Duo, and today we have a pretty special video. We're going to be doing a top 5 of our favorite modular sets. So there is a total of 15 modular sets, and we thought this was just a good time, to reflect back on one, I think, in my opinion, one of the best lines ever from Lego. Still very successful, so we're just going to go ahead and get right into it here.
So for number 5, we have the Detective's Office, and this is a set that we do own. And I think my favorite part about this set is the pool hall on the left side of the build. And the barbershop's also cool, but I think this one fits really well when you have multiple modules. And also, I believe that just that pool hall sign hanging down on the building is a really cool aspect to the build. And I'm kind of just a sucker for those. That's why I really like Cafe Corner too. B. Brooks, any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think this one's just an overall good build. Great price per piece, obviously, with most of the modulars. And I just like the colors they use in this one. I think it just fits together very well. Obviously, the iconic Al's Barber, I would say, that technique used, I think, was something people didn't really see coming from this line. And I just think it fits very well into the set.
I also like how this one has a little bit of depth to it. There in the middle of the build, there's a little bit of some balconies, and it kind of goes back, but it's not like it's empty. It just kind of provides more depth than some of the other sets that we've seen.
Very true. And now we're going to go ahead and move on to number 4. This has to be the most iconic because it's the first. It's going to be Cafe Corner. Wow, when this set came out, I remember seeing it on the backside of a catalog in 2007, and I was just blown away by this set. It's like everything you ever wanted for Lego City, right there, packaged into a great set. Obviously, only $140. It's going to be a great price per piece. And obviously, with these original ones, there was no interior. However, I think the exterior details on this set are some of the best ever. It's a little bit repetitive, but I think it works great just for being the first one. For me, when I look at this set, it reminds me of the things you see in Legoland. And I know we've talked about this in other videos, but just that style of build, I think, fits really well into the Lego world. And I mean, this set was just iconic. And for that reason, still today, I think this is one of the sets we want the most. Goes for a pretty penny. And again, I'm always surprised how many pieces there are in this set because there's no interior. It really gives a lot of detail on the outside with a lot of smaller pieces, a lot of the tiles on the floor, on the outside sidewalk, very detailed than a lot of the other sets.
I actually got a funny story about this set. So we had a friend, this was back in middle school, so this is way past 2007. This was probably more like 2012, 2013 or so. And he had this set in his basement just like kind of torn apart and smashed. It was this one along with the Creator like red house with the red roof. That's also an awesome set. But he had this Cafe Corner set just like broken down, just sitting on a shelf. It looked like it had been sitting there for like the 6 years. And I remember we would look at him and be like, "Hey, would you want to sell us that Lego set?" And he just thought we were like crazy. Like, no, like I'm like, why would you want to buy it? Like it's just all broken. And then like we would like kind of joke about it. And then like it was like, nah, I actually kind of want it. And then I remember one day he was just like, "Oh yeah, I don't know where it is anymore. I think my mom just threw it out or something like that." And we were like, "Dude!"
It's like literally $1,500.
Yeah, we were like, "No, what?" That was so funny. That it just reminds me of I would just look at it and be like, I know it has a lot of missing pieces, but I'll offer you like $200 for that right there.
Yeah, there's definitely a few pieces in that set that are worth quite a lot. All right, now we're going to go ahead and get into our top 3. Number 3, we have Green Grocer. Obviously, this is the second one coming right after a Cafe Corner. Again, it's going to be $150 for 2,352 pieces. An amazing price per piece and very similar to the first one. No real interior. However, the exterior is one of the best, I think, still today.
This one has a little bit. This one actually has a little the market on the bottom interior. It also has a little bit of an apartment interior on the top, but nothing really that crazy. But the bottom does have a pretty good market interior.
That's true. It does have a little bit more. And then I will say with this set, the color green, I just love it on this set. I think a lot of people can relate to that. And those pieces are pretty rare, and this is why this set still goes for a lot today, used and new, because there are some colors in this set that are very hard to get hold of.
You know what reminds me of, like just bringing back some memories. We used to bring the Lego magazine on the bus on the way to school, and I remember this set was in the same magazine as like the first UCS Millennium Falcon that came out in 2007. This set came out in 2008.
2008.
Yeah, so they were both in that like same catalog. Like they were both like, boom, here's like these new sets we have. And I remember like always looking at, oh, these are the sets I want, and being like, okay, I want Greengrocer, I
Yeah.
want Cafe Corner, and I want this UCS Millennium Falcon. Like just like looking at it, like really wanting all of them. And yeah, it's just cool to look back on. But I never got this one.
All right. Number two, Fire Brigade. Now, I think this is probably one of my favorite sets. I mean, we have this at number two, and we have number one, so I feel like this is why number two is sort of, at least for me, the most wanted, I would say, out of all the modulars. It does go for a lot. However, it is not astronomical in the $1,500 range as a new cafe corner or greengrocer. Um, I just think this set, it fits very well with the modular line when you line them all up. The height is just right. It's a great side building, to go along with maybe one of the corner buildings if you had a cafe corner or something like that. The colors are bold enough to make it interesting, but not too bold where it stands out too much within a Lego city or within a modular lineup. So I just think it fits very well. And yeah, for that reason, we have this at number two.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of this one too. I'm surprised we never got it actually. It just seems like one of those ones we would have asked for Christmas or something like that. And I can remember looking at it in the Lego store, and maybe it was shortly after it retired, probably like maybe a year after it retired. I almost bought it. I mean, it was above the retail price. It was probably like around 300, maybe like 250 or something like that. But looking back on it now, that was a pretty good deal, and I almost bought it for that price back then because it was just one that I really wanted to get.
All right, and here we're going to be going into our number one. Now, I think this one is probably, I guess, it's obviously the biggest. We're just going to go ahead and say it here. Assembly Square, 4,000 pieces for $280. This came out recently for the 10th anniversary of the modular line. Came out in 2017 in January. And as soon as I saw this, I felt like I just needed it, to be honest. I can see this set fitting so well with all the other modulars. And we have them all lined up in the basement. And this one just fits perfectly with any of them. Obviously, it sort of has three separate buildings, and you just get a ton of minifigures, ton of action there on the pavement towards the bottom. And I could see this set being popular when it's retired because it is the 10th anniversary for modular. So again, for that reason, I think it's a good value. B is going to have future value, and of course, obviously, it's just a fantastic looking set. Great interior, obviously, at this point. We're getting a lot more detail inside, and it seems like they went all out for this modular.
Yeah, and I agree. And like I was saying before, this set has depth to it. It has that middle building that's a little bit pushed back. It has that just area where it's just sidewalk in the middle with a fountain, and it really provides like a good transition in between some of the other modules because it kind of breaks up just that straight like wall to wall buildings or even like a corner build or something like that. It extends a little bit farther. It's not as blocky as just the straight 32 by 32. And yeah, it just fits great within our line of modulars. And like we were saying before, the green grocer color is awesome, and that's featured in this set, and that's a really cool part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you were saying, I think this one is going to go up in value a little bit. For some reason, I feel like not as mof people picked it up because it has that $280 price tag.
Exactly.
Because it's basically a modular and a half, or even a little bit more than that, actually. But because of that $280 price tag, I feel like it hasn't been as popular as like the Downtown Diner and other modulars that came out around that time. And I mean, it's still available, but I feel like once it retires, it'll go up in value pretty good. And I don't think we'll see another one like this until there's another sort of anniversary for modulars, maybe at the 20th anniversary, or who knows, I could even see them doing like a 15th anniversary or something like that if the Assembly Square did well.
There's a lot of action going on. Night minifigures. It just looks like a busy scene, and I think that's always what you want to see in a modular line. So thanks a lot, guys, for tuning in. This is our top 5 modular list. Brick Duel signing out.